Good afternoon, ladies and gents. It's time for the Monday Q&A with Fat Loss for Humans. First question from Lorraine Wells. Wellsy. Is there any truth to the theory that certain foods use more calories to digest than others? The answer to that is yes. So if you compare protein, carbs and fats respectively, let's take 100 calories of each. Protein, you're looking at 20 to 30% of the total used to absorb it and digest it. So if you had 100 calories of protein, you're going to use 20 to 30 calories to sort of digest that protein. Carbs is 5 to 10%. So again, you have 100 calories, 5 to 10 calories of those are being used. And fat, it's like 2 to 3, so barely anything at all. So protein first, then carbs, then fat. So what does this mean in terms of, you know, trying to lose fat? There is an advantage to having a higher protein diet. Now, you have to remember or have to respect the fact that we do eat mixed diets. So there's only, unless you went completely crazy and were just eating protein, which you're unlikely to do, wouldn't recommend that. Yeah, it's not gonna have the biggest impact. Not something like consciously counting your calories or exercise and stuff like that. Those would be the first two. But it's worth noting that out of the three, yeah, protein does use 20 to 30% of the calories to digest it. Question 2. Okay, this one's from Joe, who asked, I use FitnessPal to log my food and I've set my calories and macro split to an amount, but I have no idea if it's the correct amount, too low or too high. I think I just did the bog standard setup. How do I know if it's correct? I train a fair bit too. Thank you for your help. No problem. You do train a fair bit as well. So yeah, this is a question I get quite a lot, because I think if you just tap in, if you set up your FitnessPal account, you put your age, gender, you know, your goal, current weight and stuff, and it will give you a fairly sort of generic target. Now, like with anything that's sort of kind of generic and trying to appeal to the masses, for some people it'll be spot on, for some people it'll be a little bit out, and for others it'll be completely out. Now, I think when people are training a lot, expenditure is going to vary massively. Let's say you're training sort of 5-6 days a week. You know, some are strength sessions, some are sprint sessions, some are like circuit classes. You're going to be burning different amounts on different days. So when I get someone like that, the best thing for setting calories is maybe start with the amount on FitnessPal, track your weight for a week or two and just see the fluctuations. If you notice you're losing weight rapidly and you're trying to maintain where you're at, obviously then you can start setting it higher, and vice versa. If you're gaining weight or not losing weight, then maybe you'll have to eat a little bit less. But it's worth just tracking everything for a couple of weeks to see what's going on. And in terms of how you set protein, carbs and fat, the sort of stock settings on FitnessPal do tend to set protein a little bit on the low side for like an athletic individual. So I would, like without seeing the numbers, this is what I would do. I would set the protein a little bit higher, so maybe like around 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So let's say if you're, I hate guessing people's weight, I'm going to use me. Let's just say for me, if I'm weighing in at 180 pounds, then maybe I'd eat 180 grams of protein, maybe a little bit less than that. And then with carbs and fat, if you're for an active individual, I'd probably recommend setting the carbs a little bit higher because you're going to use them through the training, and maybe fat is sort of low to moderate. But again, I'd probably actually say first and foremost, let personal preference dictate, but have a little play with it. Have a look at your weight, have a look at how you respond in the training sessions. When you find something you sort of groove with, then they're your numbers. I hope that helps. Any further questions on that, yeah, just fire us a message and I'm happy to elaborate further. Question 3 is from Craig, and it's not so much of a question as a conversation that we had, but there's kind of some relevant points in there, that things that keep coming up again and again with clients, and it's around having, or how much damage does one meal do, or like one bad meal do. So say you have like a Chinese or an Indian, or generally it's a meal out, something like that. Now, don't get me wrong, when you're trying to diet, you can't just go out of the weekend and go hog wild and eat whatever you want. But it's unlikely that one meal is going to completely wreck your dieting efforts across the course of a week. Caveat to that, unless you go and have like an all-you-can-eat buffet and just eat until you're physically sick. But generally speaking, if you have like a Chinese, let's say, The weight the next day, maybe even the day after, it might be a little bit higher, but it's not that meal that's made you fat. It's not any one thing in that meal that's going to make or break, you know, a long-term dieting goal. And it goes for one-off meals, it goes for one-off weigh-ins, it goes for one-off training sessions, good and bad. As a rule of thumb, or just something I see like time and time again, when someone has a low weigh-in, you know, maybe they're going for weight loss and they see a low number on the scale, it's like hands in the air, high five, brilliant, oh yeah, it's because I did that session yesterday or whatever. And I have to sort of just rein them in a little bit and be like, oh, you know, that's good, that's what we want to see, but it's not that one session we did yesterday, it's your efforts over the last month, it's just culminated in that. And exactly the same, when someone sees a high number, maybe they've had a couple of, you know, good days, or maybe they've even had that meal out, they see that scale spike up and they're on the floor, oh God, our diet's ruined, it's all gone completely tits up. And again, I'm there just saying, no you haven't, it's just, you know, it's a little bump in water weight, maybe you had a bit more salt in that meal and it's just going to push it up, give it a couple of days and it'll be back down again. And the whole point of this is just to step back and look at things over weeks and months. Now with dieting in general, no one wants to do that because everyone wants, you know, 6-minute abs or the 20-minute beach workout or 7-day detox and stuff, but your body takes time to accumulate fat and it takes time to drop fat. And just, yeah, look at things in the long term. Don't plan a diet for a week. Don't get hung up on single meals or single sessions. Just stick to your guns, do the right things. When you have success, you know, little pat on the back, make a note of it. When you have a bad day, no big deal, pick yourself up and move on. Always look at the big picture. And that concludes this week's Q&A. Same thing again next week. I'll put up a link on Friday and hopefully we'll get some questions in. If you want me to elaborate any further on any of the things we've covered today, I'm more than happy to do so. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Take it easy. Bye-bye.